Good morning to all of you. I hope you all are fine and enjoyed a lot in your holidays. So now it's time to get back to your studies. So beta, as we all know, we are on the chapter number 3, fibers. So let us recapitulate a little about these fibers and then we will continue with the topic of wool. So now beta, fibers, as we all know, fibers are the thread like structures which are obtained from a source which is spun into a yarn. Now beta, on the basis of their origin, we categorize the fiber into two types. First one is the natural fibers and second one is the synthetic or man-made fibers. Natural fibers are the fibers whose raw material is obtained from plant or animal. So जो fibers plant और animal material से prepare करे जाएंगे, these fibers are known as natural fibers. And the second type of fiber is synthetic fibers. Synthetic fibers are the fibers which are prepared in factories by humans. So that's why these are also known as man-made fibers. So in this chapter we studied about the animal fibers, and in animal fiber we will study about the wool and silk. Wool you had already studied and we are going to continue with the silk from today. So beta, you had studied about wool yielding animals. Wool is from different animals from where the wool is obtained, and you had studied the journey from fiber to wool, and the things which is left from the wool portion is occupational hazard, wool production in the world, and the wool mark which is on the page number 34. So now I am going to start from the topic occupational hazard of wool industry on page number 34. First of all, before starting the occupational hazard of wool industry, the important term to know is what is occupational hazard. As we all know beta, occupation is the work of a person. Occupational hazard is the dangers which face by the person while doing a job or a work. जब आप कोई काम करोगे उस टाइम पे जब आपको कुछ डेंजर्स फेस हो रहे हैं या कोई डिसीज से आप फेस हो रहे हो, these hazard or these dangers is known as occupational hazard. So while working in the wool industry, people face occupational hazard. These are those people who are working in the sorting department. Now you know what is the work in the sorting department. In sorting department they separate different textures of the hair of sheep. So different textures of hair of sheep are separated in the sorting department. On the basis of this beta, the persons who came contact in with sheep's hairs, so they got infected by the anthrax bacteria whose spores are present on the hairs of the sheep. So now what they said, people working in the sorting department are at risk. उन्हें सबसे ज़्यादा रिस्क होता है because they may get infected by anthrax bacteria. Now this bacteria whose name is anthrax is present on the hairs of the sheep. So anthrax disease is a fatal blood disease. Fatal means very dangerous, leads to death. Now it is also called sorter disease. So here they are trying to say that the occupational hazard of wool industry is that those people who are working in the sorting department are risk of getting infected by anthrax bacteria because this bacteria is present on the hairs of the sheep. So on coming in contact with the sheep hairs in the sorting department, they may get infected with this anthrax bacteria and got a disease named the sorter's disease. So next is about the wool production in the world. But a wool production in the world is the ranking of the different countries according to their wool production in the world. So on the basis of the wool production, China is at the top. China सबसे ज़्यादा वर्ल्ड की wool produce करेगा. It contributes to about 20% of the wool produced in the world. And there are all other major wool producing countries are Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Iran, India, Russia, Argentina. And India is at the 10th rank in wool production. Now we will study about the different regions of India in which wool is produced. In India, sheep are reared in lower Himalayan region, which include Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Haryana, Punjab, along with the other parts of Rajasthan and Gujarat. After that, the next and important topic is wool mark. But a wool mark is the sign which you had seen on the wool. Now, beta, the logo of wool mark on woolen cloth is a symbol of quality to assure that the woolen cloth is made from pure wool. Now, this logo tells you that the wool that you purchased is of pure or not. If the logo is present, then this indicates that the wool is pure and it is then the cloth is made up of the pure wool. And if it is not present, then you can say that the your woolen cloth is not of pure wool. This logo is assigned by the International Wool Secretariat established in North Yorkshire, United Kingdom. Okay. After that, bacha, next is about the silk. As we all know, silk is a strong but light and soft cloth having the shimmering appearance. Shimmering means shiny appearance. Now, silk is strong, even stronger than the steel wire of same thickness. अगर आप एक वायर स्टील की लो और वही सेम थिकनेस का सिल्क थ्रेड ले लो, then silk is stronger than the steel wire. Silk is strong, light in weight, soft, and have shimmering appearance. So these properties make silk very important fiber. The silk fiber are also called animal fibers because the raw material from where the silk is made is obtained from the silk moth, which is an animal. That's why this fiber is also known as animal fiber. Silk, now beta, silk moth have 4 stages in its life cycle, and silk is obtained from the third stage, pupa, and cocoon stage of silk moth. For this, we are going to study the life cycle of silk moth so that you came to know about the different stages of the silk moth. Now, silk fiber is formed of 2 proteins. You have to learn the names of the 2 proteins. First one is sericin and the second one is fibroin. These 2 proteins together make the silk fiber. These proteins make fiber shiny and lustrous. Shiny and lustrous also means the shiny in nature. The rearing of silk moth for obtaining the silk is known as sericulture. Like the rearing of fishes is known as pisciculture. Okay. Rearing of hens is known as poultry farming. So that's why rearing of silk moth is known as sericulture. Now beta, after that, in your book, there is discovery of silk, sources of silk. For better understanding, we will first study the life cycle of silk moth so that you came to know about the different terms which are included in this life cycle of silk moth so that you can better understand the discovery and sources of silk. So first of all, we are going to study the life cycle of silk moth. For the life cycle of silk moth, bacha, there are 4 stages in the life cycle of silk moth. There are 4 stages. First one is egg. Second one is the egg changes into a worm like creature, caterpillar, and third one is the caterpillar changes into a pupa, and the fourth one is this pupa hatch and changes into the adult moth. Now we will study this life cycle in detail. The female silk moth lays hundreds of tiny eggs on the mulberry leaves. When these eggs are laid, the larvae that hatch of the eggs are called caterpillars. After the laying of the eggs, these eggs are hatched and the little worm-like creature, कीड़े जैसे structure came out, and these worm-like creatures are known as caterpillars. These caterpillars feed on the leaves of mulberry tree. Now there is a line, these caterpillars feed on mulberry leaves voraciously and grow in size. Voraciously means continuously, a lot of eating. These caterpillars eats a lot and grows in size. And they eat what? They eat the leaves of the mulberry tree. After growing in size, after attaining a certain size, bacha, these caterpillars stop feeding. When they stop feeding, then the third stage came, and this stage is named as pupa, pupal stage. When the caterpillar stops feeding and the pupal stage came, they then the salivary glands of this caterpillar start secreting a fiber like structure or a liquid which is made up of the fibrin protein. You had already studied that silk is made up of the two protein. First one is sericin and the second one is fibrin. This fibrin protein is secreted by the salivary glands of the silk worm, which is also known as caterpillar. So this fibrin protein, which is secreted by the salivary gland of the silkworm, it hardens on exposure to air. सो जब एयर के कंटेक्ट में आएगा तो ये हार्ड हो जाएगा, एंड दिस हार्ड फाइबर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्म्स अ कवर अराउंड द प्यूपा. दिस कवर इज कॉल्ड cocoon. This cover or a bag like structure in which the caterpillar is surrounded, by which the caterpillar is surrounded, this is known as cocoon. Now beta, cocoon is a ball shaped and is formed of silk fiber. Then after that, further development of silk moth continues inside this cocoon. At the end of this pupal stage, the cocoon bursts and opens up, and the silk moth comes out by cutting this silk fiber of cocoon and flies. This is the life cycle of the silk moth. In this life cycle, 4 stages are there. First one is silk moth lays 100 of eggs. From these eggs, a larva or a worm like creature, silk worm, comes out, which known as caterpillar. By feeding on the leaves of mulberry trees, these caterpillar changes into the third stage, which is pupal stage, and at this pupal stage, this worm secretes a liquid which is made up of fibrin protein, and it gets hardened on exposure to air. After hardening, it is changes into the cocoon, and after the further development, the silk moth inside this cocoon cut the silk fiber and came out. So this is the life cycle of silk moth. Okay, I hope you all had studied this, learned these 4 stages. First one is egg, second one is caterpillar, third one is pupa, and when the pupa is covered by the silk fiber, this is known as cocoon, and the 4th stage is of adult silk moth. So now we will study about discovery of silk. But a silk was first, this is a story. Silk was first developed in China. Silk is also first developed in China. According to a legend, in about 3000 BC, 3000 before Christ, the bride of Chinese emperor, एक Chinese emperor की bride, the Hunan Di, named Zichangshi, developed the first silk reel. अब उसने एक फर्स्ट सिल्क रील डेवलप करी. इट वॉज केप्ट अ क्लोजली गार्डेड सीक्रेट for hundreds of years. Now China doesn't tells about the silk fiber to the other countries. It is a secret at that time. Knowledge of making silk reached India only in AD 300 through traders and travelers. Now the traders and travelers who came from the different regions of the world carried this information of the silk fiber to India. Silk moths were also traded to European countries because they also wanted to grow silk, to make silk. So these silk moths, they were also traded to European countries, but these silk moths do not survive there due to the cold weather in these European countries. However, Italy becomes silk center for western countries of Europe, and as we all know, China being a discoverer, China is the leading silk producing country in the world, and it is also the leading wool producing country in the world. Other major silk producing countries are Japan, India, and Italy. After that, next is the sources of silk. But as we all know, silk is obtained from the silk moth. Now, like the different varieties of mangoes are present, different varieties of dogs are present, like pug dog, libra, and many other varieties are present. Like all these, there is a varieties of silk moths are also present. Now, the best quality of silk is obtained from the cocoon of silk moth variety named Bombyx mori. The caterpillars of this variety feeds on the leaves of mulberry tree. This variety is cultivated in China and mountainous regions of northern India. After that, the second variety of silk, wild silk, जिसे हम tussar, which is also called tussar, is obtained from silk moths that feed on oak leaves. Oak trees grows widely in India and China. Widely means that grows by their own. There is no seed like cultivation of oak trees. Third variety is Munga silk, which is obtained from another wild variety of silk moth, which are found in Brahmaputra Valley. So these are the three varieties of silk. First one is obtained from Bombyx mori. Second one are the silk moth which feed on oak leaves, and this Bombyx mori is feed on mulberry leaves. Second one is tussar, which is whose silk moth that feed on oak leaves, and the third one is munga silk, which is obtained from the variety of silk moth found in Brahmaputra Valley. So, beta, with this, our topic of sources of silk is completed. Discovery of silk you all had know. So, we will continue with the how silk is obtained from the cocoon in tomorrow's class. And please read this topic very carefully. Do one thing, bacha, draw the life cycle of silk moth as an activity in your fair notebooks. Okay, thank you.